Hot news, welcome back. It's Thursday, March 19th. Hope you're enjoying your day wherever you are in the world. We got an existential question of the day, which is coffee just roasted bean soup? So let us know, coffee, roasted bean soup, let us know down in the comments and in the poll right up there. But also, I want to start a new segment before we get on into hot news, which is going to be the best tech video of the day that we found out on the internet. And I'm going to be asking you, our audience, for help, because as we're entering into a new phase of the world being a little bit more messed up than usual, I want to take an opportunity here on Hot News to promote smaller creators to make sure their videos are still getting viewed and they're getting more support where they probably need it the most. So I have a couple criteria. One, it has to be released in the last few days, the video that we're going to be talking about. Two, the creator has to be under 100,000 views. And then three, the video has to be legitimately interesting. And if you have an idea of videos or creators that you want us to promote here on Hot News, please go over to our Discord, which is linked in the video description, and go to our video suggestions channel. People were supposed to suggest video ideas for us, but that doesn't matter anymore. Suggest the videos that you would want featured here at the beginning section of Hot News. So today we have a video from our pal over at Zach's Tech Turf. He checked out the RX 560, 570, and 580 here in 2020, and considering everybody's finances are probably going to be a little bit more stressed than usual, either if you have those cards or you're thinking about picking up a used one, it can be legitimately helpful for you. So check that out at the link in the video description or right up there. Big shout out to Zach's Tech Turf. And guys, please help me out with this. I'd like to shout out more smaller creators that could potentially use a boost during this trying time. But speaking of trying time, we had the Sony PlayStation 5 reveal yesterday. You want to know what the end result is? The PlayStation 5 sucks when you compare it to the Xbox Series X. That's the facts. It is a worse gaming console overall. Bad. Performance, awful. It only has 10.3 teraflops. Pathetic. Xbox Series X has 12. The PlayStation 5 only has 825 gigabytes of storage, whereas the Xbox is going to have 1 terabyte of NVMe storage. Everybody's talking about how, oh, the PlayStation 5's SSD is faster. Oh, it can run at 5.5 gigabytes per second raw and then 9 gigabytes per second compressed, whereas the Xbox Series X is 2.4 gigabytes per second raw and under 5 compressed. It's pathetic. It's bad, but that only matters for first-party titles. Do you think video game developers who are going to have everything on a cross-platform are going to specialize it so that it runs faster on the PlayStation than it does on the Xbox? No, you need raw compute power. And the only way that the PlayStation 5 is getting the compute power for its 10.3 teraflops is because they're overclocking the crap out of it. That's not going to be a sustainable boost clock. 2.25 gigahertz? Are you kidding me? On 36 compute units versus the 52 that are on the Xbox? Horrible. What are you doing? And the fact that the CPU runs slower and has no simultaneous multi-threading, at least according to what PlayStation said yesterday. 3.5 gigahertz versus the 3.66 base on the Xbox Series X and 3.8 gigahertz on the regular one with no multi-threading. This is bad. The specs at a raw comparison of the PS5, it is just flat out worse. But the good news is that if you cared about performance ever, you would be on PC. If you care about how many teraflops your console has, honestly, you lose the race every time because PC is just de facto better at pushing more horsepower. So that's gonna be the truth no matter how you slice it. And really, as it's always come down to with consoles, is the game experience that you're gonna get. For cross-platform games, you're likely not gonna see much of a difference between the PlayStation 5 and the Xbox Series X. The 36 compute unit GPU that's on the PlayStation 5 is gonna be more than capable of running games at 4K at 60 frames per second, especially with the console optimizations that go on. It's gonna be about the same experience. Maybe the Xbox will win out in a few titles, making sure that it doesn't dip frames as much. However, Sony continues and seems to will continue to have the better first-party titles, and that exactly is what's going to make the next generation of consoles, is the games that come out for each platform. Sony says that they're still gonna be committed to single-player first-party titles, making sure that's the wave of the future. Xbox seems a little wishy-washy on that, and so it's going to be hard to figure out which is the console to get going forward, and the specs are comparable enough that honestly, if you buy one or the other, you should be mostly fine for all games going forward at this point. However, it does leave room with the PS5 for them to come out with a PS5 Pro. There is some speculation that the 10.2, 10.3 teraflop GPU that Sony is using isn't ever going to run at that, only in like the worst case boost scenarios, and more or less it's the 9.2, 9.5 teraflop GPU that we were expecting, but they just overclocked it a little bit more to make it sound more comparable to the Xbox once they figured out what Xbox was going to be shipping. So that's a possibility, which would mean that it is indeed a more mid-tier console compared to the Series X, and a PS5 Pro could launch at 12 to 15 teraflops, which would be pretty cool. However, that's again all speculation. But for the most part, the breakdown of the PlayStation 5 announcement is PlayStation 5, a worse gaming console, but a better gaming system. But if you want the best gaming console, just get a PC. But that's my opinion. What do you think of the PS5 announcement yesterday? What did you think of the really dry announcement? Honestly, they told us it was going to be a deep dive into the architecture, so you shouldn't have necessarily been disappointed with the fact that it was a deep dive into the architecture and there was a lot of deep talk. It's a weird marketing move by Sony, and the dude sounded exactly like Linus would if he was calm.
And it is incredibly valuable.
And the weird audience in the front was odd. It was real people. I thought it was silhouettes, and they were moving, but I thought they were still. And then you go back and you realize, oh, that's a fake real crowd. I thought it was just plastered on. Weird. Let us know what you thought of Sony's PlayStation 5 announcement yesterday down below in the comments. But not to be outdone, Xbox apparently finally gave us a release date for the Xbox Series X and then promptly took it away with promotional images from Xbox coming out saying that it would be released Thanksgiving 2020, which obviously kind of goes in line with the holidays 2020 that Xbox has been stating it would come out, except for it was really weird. They only updated international pressers to say Thanksgiving 2020, and the US one always said holiday 2020, which only America celebrates Thanksgiving. I don't understand. It's an American holiday based on American things. Why are they saying Thanksgiving in the rest of the world, but holiday here? And I would guess that Thanksgiving 2020 doesn't mean that's literally going to be released on the 4th Thursday of November, but rather right around that time frame, so that probably the first day that you're going to be able to get it is going to be on Black Friday, and make sure that they can create a lot of hype, get a lot of people into a densely packed area to be able to catch and get the console at the same time, so that they're sick enough that they have to stay home to play. But that's not the only little bit of slipped news that Xbox seems to be giving out these days. There was information coming out from Microsoft's GM of game developer experiences stating that Xbox Game Studios has 16 first-party teams. But the interesting thing is they only have 15, and so he said 16. Now, Microsoft came out and corrected that it should have been 15, but maybe it is 16, and they have one that they haven't announced yet, and they're going to announce it soon. That's a possibility. It's a quick little rumor, not a lot to substantiate it, especially since Microsoft came out and said it was only 15, but that always gets my conspiracy brain going. So what do you think? Does Microsoft secretly have a game studio they haven't announced yet? Let us know down in the comments. But in case you're going to be playing games soon, Resident Evil 3 Demo is officially available for you to check out on the PS4 and the Xbox One. You can open up the beta for a 10 gigabyte preload, so go ahead and try that out if you want to.
Hey, Captain. This fine young lady could use our help.
Speaking of preloading, I'm going to preload my disappointment into this next article, which is MSI is launching a new motherboard, which in the hype of B550, a potentially new Intel launch, what would you want? A B450, you're right. They are launching a new B450 motherboard called the B450 Gaming Pro Carbon Max Wi-Fi and the B450M Bazooka Max Wi-Fi. In these trying times of new PC releases, B450 for you, my friends. And then we're quickly going to talk about Intel's new chips, because there's been some more benchmarks coming out about the i5-10500T and the i7-10700T, which are both 35 watt TDP chips based on the low powered version of what Intel's supposed to be releasing. And it turns out that the i5 version runs at 92 watts and the i7 runs at 123 watts. So again, TDP from Intel, meaningless as far as power draw. Yikes. And just a little bit more Intel news. In previous episodes of Hot News, we reported on the fact that Intel and Micron were parting ways when it came to Optane memory. They both worked on it together. They developed Intel Optane, and now they each have a license, but they separated. Well, it appears that they're coming back together in a reunion because they signed a new agreement for 3D crosspoint shipment. That's the official technology behind Optane, is 3D crosspoint. So Intel and Micron coming back together for something that they maybe, I don't know if they still wanted to part ways or if this was an inevitable thing that works out for a better business strategy. I'm not sure. I'm not a businessman. I'm a mouth. Speaking of not knowing things, apparently there was a streaming service called Tubi that was supported by ads and you can watch stuff. I don't know. I've never heard of it. Fox has bought it for $440 million. They're selling their stake in Roku to help pay for it, but they didn't have a majority stake in Roku. I think it was 5%. So they didn't have enough to matter in Roku, and now they're buying Tubi outright. But you're part of Disney, and Disney has Disney Plus, and you just gave all your streaming licenses to them. Why? Is it technology? And Disney's gonna have that, but then why is Fox buying it? I'm so confused. Or did Disney only buy 20th Century Fox and Fox is a separate entity from that? I don't know. All of these business stuff breaks my brain. You know what else breaks my brain? Not understanding languages. I unfortunately haven't learned a whole lot of languages. I know a little bit of Afrikaans, I know a little bit of Zulu, I know a little bit of Spanish, but not enough to actually get by. And thankfully, Google Translate has updated its Android app to have live transcription of translations for a few different languages. So right now it supports English, French, German, Hindi, Portuguese, Russian, Spanish, and Thai, and it would be able to translate it on the fly for you so that you can understand somebody as they're speaking, which is kind of cool. But what wasn't kind of cool was Samsung's PlayGalaxy Link service, which let you play games from your PC somehow onto your phone. I don't understand what this was or how it's different than other like in-home streaming stuff. It was really weird. Nobody used it. It was developed based on a company called Parsec that Samsung acquired, but again, nobody freaking used it, and it's shutting down at the end of the month.
No loss there.
What? I never even heard of this launching. Speaking of launching though, Fractal has launched a case that I want now. It's called the Era ITX case, and holy crap, does this thing look gorgeous. The colors are nice. I don't necessarily like the wood finish that they have on some of them, but this blue version of the Era, want it so badly. Fractal, hit me up. I'll make my mini ITX. I'll throw away my mini ITX open air chassis that I have, and I'll work on this one. And by throw away, I'll give it to somebody. But come on, Fractal, hit me up. And then another product announcement to talk about. Apple unveiled brand new products yesterday in terms of a refreshed MacBook Air, which now has new keys. It has better options as far as a 10th gen Intel processor, better RAM, better storage, and the price isn't too bad, coming in at $999. They also unveiled a new iPad Pro, which is kind of cool. It has a LiDAR scanner for depth sensing. It has new cameras. It has the new A12Z Bionic chip. It's faster. It has a new trackpad on its keyboard, and then it also has a new hinge that can allow you to adjust it. It's called the Magic Keyboard. It's backlit. It's gonna allow you to do a whole lot, and it has USB-C pass-through for charging to allow you to actually utilize more than one adapter at the same time without having to get into the dongle life necessarily. They also announced that they're gonna be selling their Afterburner cards separately, so in case you're doing like a Hackintosh, or if you have a previous version of a Mac Pro that you wanna slot it into, you could potentially do that. And it was announced that all of the iPad Pro models are gonna have 6 gigabytes of RAM, and then they also updated the Mac Mini to have double the amount of storage. So some changes all around. Speaking of changes, the world is changing right now in a very dramatic way. Everything's gone haywire. Cats and dogs living together. It's crazy.
So tell me, one of you, is the dog out of the way?
But in that craziness, we got a crazy billionaire who's making crazy promises.
What a hero!
Elon Musk has promised that if there is a shortage of ventilators, Tesla and SpaceX will make up the difference in producing them, which led a lot of people to be like, there is a shortage now, so why aren't you producing them? But Elon Musk said that Tesla makes cars with sophisticated HVAC systems, SpaceX makes spacecraft with life support systems. Ventilators are not difficult, but cannot be produced instantly. Which hospitals have these shortages you speak of right now? And he said that he'll produce them. So hopefully Tesla getting in on helping that out. They also announced that they are going to be making changes to their factory as far as work. Initially, there was a lot of speculation that they would be completely shutting down. However, they've just adjusted their workflow to have around 2,500 essential employees to kind of work through everything. And then the other employees may be temporarily relocated, or if they use all of their paid time off, they can borrow up to 80 hours, which I mean, in a pandemic, do you really have to force people to borrow their paid time off? Obviously, there's some people, especially in gigantic companies, who are going to abuse the system. Rather just make a blanket statement that allows everybody to feel safe and worry about the abusers later, and make sure you're protecting everybody now, as opposed to trying to protect from the abusers now and screw over the person who actually desperately needs it. That'd be my suggestion, but you know, I'm not a multi-billionaire running a business. I'm just a mouth. Speaking of my mouth, I could use it to trade on the New York Stock Exchange by putting my mouth on my mouse. Somehow this got weird. Anyways, the news is that the New York Stock Exchange is no longer going to have anybody on the trading floor, and it's going to all go digital in a few days on March 23rd. One could think that this is to protect people from Voldemort going around, making sure that nobody is actually going to get any, diseases going on. Or conspiratorially, it could be the fact that we don't want any pictures of freaking out stockbrokers on the stock floor, and that this is an attempt by the government to censor the fact that everybody's freaking out about the stock market dropping. Huh? Maybe? Just like birds are surveillance drones by the government? I think this is potential, like stockbrokers are like the mouthpieces of the American people, and they're silencing them. That got a little weird. It's all conspiracy. It's all made up. I'm just making up jokes. But you know what's not made up? that cats have buttholes. And what's also not made up is that people want to see Cats, the movie, with a butthole cut, meaning that there was apparently a version of Cats previously that had the buttholes on the cats and they had to take them out. According to somebody who's friends with somebody who worked on the actual film, saying that he had to work on 400 effect shots to make sure that the CGI buttholes that had been inserted a few months before were removed. So that means that there's a cat's butthole cut out there somewhere. Anyways, but then we get this headline from Gizmodo that says, unfortunately, there's no butthole cut of Cats. Why is that unfortunate? Why is that unfortunate? I don't understand the times we're living in. Anyways, the reason that there's no butthole cuts of Cats is that apparently it's not that there were ever buttholes inserted into the digital cats, it's that the folds that happened from the fake skin and hair that they put on the cats apparently resembled anuses in some of the shots. So there's no butthole cuts of Cats, but there's a appearing butthole cuts of Cats.
You! Tell me! Is the game afoot?
Yes?
Why is the game afoot?
And I would be a butthole if I continued this episode of Hot News any longer, so I'm gonna end it there. I want you guys to answer the existential question of the day, which is coffee just roasted bean soup? Need to know. Okay, and don't forget to check out the tech video of the day by Zach's Tech Turf. See how a fixed 560, 570, 580 perform in 2020. We'll leave a link down in the video description. Show him some love from UFD Tech. Anyways, hit the like button if you enjoyed this video. Get subscribed to stay up to date on all of our tech-related content. Brett, Hot News out. Goodbye.
I forgot my coffee.
Are you drinking soup? You have coffee? Go get your soup. Reece absolutely qualifies for it being soup because he drinks it out of a soup mug.
Yes.